Yo, 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 what's good, y'all? It's your boy Game Time Ty. I'm here with my boy Matty Boots. What's good, Matty Boots? Hold on, let me
Yo,
see.
yo.
Yo, what's
What's
good,
good,
bro?
bro? How's it going? We're so much closer to the season now.
Yeah, let me just get that echo out of here. Dude, it's crazy. I'm gonna wake up like tomorrow and feel like we're like the
Ugh.
season's already here. Like it's honestly crazy how close we're getting to the season. It's just getting even more.
Yeah.
Oh, yo, what's up, Michael Gosser? Thanks for the follow, bro. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Yo, so yeah, dude, we're getting so close to the season. Lightning Archer, welcome back, man. Welcome back. Hopefully, you had some good, stuff going on during the weekend and over the beginning of this week. Yeah, we got some crazy news coming out. We got some crazy news
Oof.
already. Let's just talk about it right off the rip, man.
Let's
JJ
just rip the Band-Aid off.
Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. No pun
Sorry,
intended.
Minnesota.
JJ McCarthy's cooked. He's done, man. It is officially announced now that his season is over. Let's see if there's an actual report of this. I don't know why ESPN doesn't like giving me the actual. Here it is, right here. Nope, not McAfee. Oh, McAfee. I'm just gonna fucking Google it, man. JJ McCarthy.
Dude, I'm looking at the depth chart. It's Sam Darnold, Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall. That's their QB room right now.
That's so rough, man. So yeah, let's just see. Fox News reports Minnesota Vikings first round pick JJ McCarthy will miss the entirety of his rookie season after undergoing surgery to repair a torn right meniscus.
Yeah, torn meniscus. This is what happened to my pops when he played baseball. And if you don't take care of it, it can really fuck your knee up.
Big time. That's really the case with any lingering injury like that, but specifically something in your lower body, like your leg, especially in a key joint like a knee.
This is the cartilage that stops your bones from rubbing against each other.
Yeah. And also it's what keeps your
knee.
Maybe that's the patella. That's the patella actually that I'm thinking about. But it's right there.
Helps keep that in place.
It's all related.
Meniscus helps keep the patella in place. God damn.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it just sucks. But McCarthy, the 10th overall pick back in April, following a national championship campaign with the Michigan Wolverines, sat out Monday's practice with the Vikings with what was initially called knee soreness, but further tests revealed something the team did not want to see. Which is this meniscus. Lightning Archer says, sucks for JJ, but what an opportunity for Sam. He's never had a good team. Let's see if he can play up to the level of the players around him. Hey, honestly, I hope the best for Sam. I won't say we've never seen a good team around him. There were a couple years with the Jets where they had some decent talent around him, but you're right. I think with the current weapons he has now, with the Addisons, with the Justin Jeffersons, with the Aaron Jones, and obviously that guy Jackson who came on, Trish Jackson, we saw, the rookie. He definitely has a bunch of weapons around him, so probably more than we've seen him have, Sam Darnold. And so, yeah, let's see. Hopefully he can take a step up. We looked at his stats when we went through the Vikings depth chart, and it is a tough division too. Like you mentioned. But man, Sam Darnold has not had good stats. He has had a really poor track record as an NFL quarterback. So
yeah, what does this do to JJ though? Right now I'm looking at Fantasy Pros ADP. He's still number 4 overall, but
that's going to change.
That's going to change. It has to change a little bit, right? Unless in preseason we really start seeing it, because Sam Darnold just has never you can have all the weapons you want around him. If you're just not good, you don't. That's just that. And Sam Darnold hasn't been good. He's had flashes, like you said, but was that It's all. It truly comes down to what he's going to do. But half PPR scoring is 6.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say that.
This is true.
So yeah, so that's a little
Baker.
You could say the same thing for Baker, and look at what he's done. Not saying he's going to be elite, but he could be good enough. Totally. Okay. And Baker was actually very serviceable last year. He bounced around the league.
Yeah.
Was drafted highly by the Browns. That didn't pay out or pay off.
Number 1 overall.
Right. And so, Sam Darnold, similar draft pedigree. I don't know if he was the number 1 overall, but he was the 3rd pick overall. So still very high first-round pick.
Real high.
A lot of expectations coming out of college. Again, we looked at his stats. Wait. Why can't I see his... There we go. So we looked at his stats. No season, only one season over 3,000 passing yards. His QBR in the gutter essentially every single season. Only one season did he have an above average QBR, and that was 2022 with the Carolina Panthers. And he didn't even play more than 6 games that year. So, and his completion percentage on his career average is 59.7, and he's kind of been about that for every single season. The worst season we saw was his the worst season we saw was his rookie season. I don't know why it was so hard for me to say that. Rookie season. And so, 57.7 completion percentage, not great, but it did improve somewhat over the course of his career, even though he did dip down a couple times below 60%. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on this kid, this guy now. He's actually a journeyman quarterback. I can't treat him like he's a kid. He's actually a vet at this point. 3 different teams. He's on his 4th team. You know what I mean?
63 and 56 on the touchdown to interception ratio. What are we talking about here?
That's awful. I mean, that's not what you want. But again,
you have 7 more touchdowns than interceptions. Here. In the one team where he did have, we'll call it weapons for sure, 2023, he got 46 passes up, completed 28 of them, got 2 tutties. That's a game, if you will. That's one game, even though it says he played 10 games.
Well, yeah, he was active for 10, right? I think that if you're the backup and you're active, that counts as a game played, I think, or something. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong.
I don't know, because
But that would explain why he has 10 games played listed last year for San Francisco, even though he was literally the backup. I don't think Brock Purdy missed a lot of time. I think he may have missed 1 game, which would explain this stat line right here.
So on that one stat line, that's why I think it's 1 game. And if it's over the course of a year, that's really rough. But if it's 1 game, 300, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, not the greatest with the interceptions. Obviously, we want that lower to 0. But 300 with people that we consider weapons and a team that's good. Now he's on a team with, he's got JJ, Addison, the guy from Green Bay, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones is the running back. Ty Chan is back there too.
So,
and then they have Tristan Jackson, who I think is going to overtake Jalen Naylor as their as their 3rd receiver, to start this offense. So,
and that's kind of that's,
and then Hawk. Yeah, but Hawk is not going to be back until at least a few weeks. Isn't likely to be ready for week 1 and could miss anywhere from 3 to 7 regular season games. So he's not even going to be back for half of the fantasy regular season anyways.
Right.
Potentially.
He's negligible this year draft wise. But
yeah,
for Lightning Archer's point, this is arguable. This is kind of a team that's good around him.
It's an upgrade from what we've seen him have. At least,
yes.
San Francisco, the 1 game that he played with them, he obviously had a great team around him.
Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he might have actually played that game when all the starters were resting anyways. If that was the Week 18 game, then they were just resting all their starters, so he might not have even been playing with the number 1s that game. Yeah, so, and for some reason it's not letting me... Oh, here we go. 2023 full splits. This is weird. I don't know why that's weird. Anyways, so yeah, Sam Darnold, not a guy you have a whole lot of belief in. That's why we're seeing Justin Jefferson's ADP dip a little bit. It was up here maybe above Bijan, for half PPR scoring before the news of JJ McCarthy. Now with JJ McCarthy being out for the season, Justin Jefferson sees a little bit of a hit in his ADP. We may see that continue to drop a little bit. Hopefully not a ton, because he doesn't deserve to be overlooked like that. He's definitely still a baller. But that downgrade at quarterback is definitely a big deal, because what we were seeing out of JJ McCarthy from the preseason was great. We loved what we were seeing, and we were expecting maybe he would actually start sooner than people were saying that he could start. Maybe he even was going to start the year. But now, obviously, his rookie season is toast. And so now Justin Jefferson is like the main sort of person that's affected by that. But every single person on this team takes a hit. You know, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones takes a little bit of a hit. Probably not as much as maybe some of the other players, because I think this just means that they're going to run the ball more potentially. Though we could have seen them be pretty rush heavy with JJ McCarthy. It's not like they were going to let him just like completely uncork, you know, to start the season. So, but yeah,
it's rough. It's just rough because like I was watching this like podcast the other day, and these guys were talking about just like the first round of drafting is always like the most brutal, because like if he was just going with number 1 overall, he's like, you need that player to be the number 1 player in the entire NFL this year. Right. And like, what a bet you're making on that. Like, so you obviously will go with the safer picks, but like chances are it's not going to be that guy. And this is one of those situations.
Well, there's a 5% chance over the last 20 years. Apparently, there's a 5% chance that the number 1 overall pick will actually return that value as the number 1 overall fantasy player that season. Right. They picked the number 1 overall. So it's like you literally have a 5% chance for anybody to repeat number 1 performance. So it's like, yeah.
And with
go ahead.
JJ right now,
just try and repeat. You know.
Well, that's the thing is with JJ right now. He's going 6th overall, but he's the 3rd wide receiver off the board in that half PPR. You need him to be 3rd overall with a Sam Darnold.
Right.
That's rough. Where you picking him up right now is a rough sell.
Okay, cool.
I think it hurts him.
Yeah. I think that's the general consensus that everybody's, you know, and actually let's just watch from like an NFL vet perspective what their take is. You know, Pat McAfee, I think we all know who he is. He was a kicker for, I think the Colts for a long period of time.
The Colts.
So you know, he's got this podcast. He's got this show now on ESPN. Let's see what he has to say about this.
Or repairing it, which involves like, are they removing it, cutting it, smoothing it, or repairing it, which involves like stitches and putting it back together, which obviously takes a longer time to heal. To announce that he's out for the entirety of the season at this standpoint is wild to me with what we read yesterday and everything. But man, what a bummer, because he looked the part. He certainly looked the part for Minnesota. This is Sam Darnold's team this upcoming season. I'm bummed out for JJ McCarthy.
Bummed out.
Yeah, it does suck. And they say in there the repaired meniscus. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it all works, but I know maybe the doctor got in there and thought he could, I don't know, repair it and give him a nice future when it comes to his knee health. But yeah, that's the whole season already to thinking it wasn't a ligament or anything. I guess I give credit to the doctors for looking out for him long term and not thinking short term, like, hey, we need to inject this guy back in the field in 4 to 5 weeks.
Is this the first time I've ever heard of a scope surgery before a season ending in a season long?
For a rookie too.
That's surprising news.
It's because they found shit in there.
Got in there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, every knee, every injury is different. So you know you got to get in there and see it. But and we saw. I feel like now, especially with these young quarterbacks, you know, doctors and the teams are erring more on the side of caution. We saw it with AR last year. He had the shoulder issue, and you know who knows how much say he had into shutting it down. But you know you invested the first round pick into him. You got Sam Darnold there. It's not like you know this is new to Kevin O'Connell dealing with different quarterbacks. But so you got to get somebody there to back up Sam that's going to be ready if need be. But this is definitely disappointing news for JJ.
Godspeed, JJ.
Godspeed and peace.
That's a bummer, man. Scope for a season. And to your point about long term, the meniscus is a big comfort thing in there. And if the discomfort is not,
it's a comfort thing. That's really the main thing.
Take it out. It's not growing back.
Yeah, and it is a painful experience for the rest of your life, pretty much, because they haven't really figured out how to put it back in. And
for sure, has more function than just comfort. But okay.
This one. Okay, so JJ's going to be back better than ever. Sam Darnold's going to be.
But again, he knows what he's
smart thing.
Yeah, he played NFL.
Did want to.
Right, and like they did the smart thing by doing the surgery now, give him the most time to heal, so he's ready by preseason next year. You know, it makes sense. Like why prolong the inevitable only to be like, well, now he can't play for the first 3 weeks of training camp. Well, we fucked up.
Well, so they moved on from Kirk Cousins, right after Kirk Cousins' season-ending injury. They drafted a guy like JJ McCarthy in, I think, the 10th pick overall or something like that.
Is that like some like divine justice? Like, let's go of the guy who's hurt and then like the guy you drafted gets hurt just to like punish them.
I mean, if you're superstitious and if you're one of those people that believe that the Vikings are cursed, then 100% that's divine justice. That you can count that, attribute that to divine justice. But if you're me and you're, more of a rational thinker, I get paranoid, I get superstitious. Trust me, I do. I won't get into those, but there are things that I, like have game day rituals, all those things. But this is just unfortunate. Like, this is just super unfortunate. And, they were making the moves for their future. Obviously, they felt like they had a good thing going. We talked about it last time about how, the key to sort of unlocking a Super Bowl appearance or a late playoff push is having a stud wide receiver with your stud quarterback that you drafted super high on their rookie deal still, right? Or you have a stud quarterback that is like a top 5 talent, and then you just kind of pay for pieces around them. But you don't usually see both of those, stud QB and a stud receiver, getting paid on the same team. That's why you see stuff going on with Ja'Marr Chase now, even though we saw that like they, tried to extend him, I think last year or whenever, they extended him. He wants more now. And I could be wrong about that. Maybe they never did an extension. Maybe they put it off, and then now he's like, yo guys, like let's be real. Let's actually get down to business and pay me now. So and we'll look into that as well. But I think the takeaway from this McCarthy shit is just like, man, sucks for the kid, sucks for obviously all Vikings fans, but for fantasy, we're just looking now at those players a little differently. ADP is affected. That is just the nature of the biz, the nature of fantasy in general. You need to have good quarterbacks throwing to your studs. More often than not, that's usually a rule or like an unwritten rule or a law. And so Justin Jefferson down here at 6, could see him dip below Ja'Marr and Amon-Ra now. I would not be surprised to see him actually be maybe even below A.J. Brown at this point, because A.J. Brown just like is super hyper efficient, and he might not get as much volume as J.J., but like the Eagles are the Eagles, man, and they just only got better last year or over the offseason. So like, yeah, JJ's dude, he's just gonna fall. He's gonna free fall. You could see him going at the back of the first round now, probably. I wouldn't pick him up honestly over guys like Ja'Marr Chase, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown. He's better than them on paper and even in historical performance wise, but like, I just don't trust Sam Darnold. And maybe I'm wrong for that. Lightning Archer definitely feels like this is a redemption moment for Sammy D. Let's see it. I'm totally down to see it. I would love to see Sammy D come out swinging and being like, you know what? I just got an opportunity of a lifetime here. I was about to be behind a freaking rookie this season, and now I have an opportunity to play the whole year out and prove to people that I'm actually not just a washed up, bust of a pick, basically. Because that's essentially what he is. Less so than maybe the Josh Rosens of the world. We always talk about the Josh Rosens, but like, that's a true bust. You know what I mean? Sam Darnold, not as big of a bust, but still qualifies as he didn't return on the value, and the Jets cut bait with him, 3-4 years after they drafted him, right? So, yeah, and then they went with freaking Zach, what's his name? Zach Taylor? No, not Zach Taylor.
No, Zach. Fuck, he just got traded.
I'm just going to look it up. Zach, no, not Zach Moss. He's not even on. What
was his name?
Jets QB Zach Wilson. That's how forgettable that kid was.
Yeah,
Jeez.
what a nobody. Jesus.
Totally would have taken another 5 minutes trying to figure that out. Thank you, Google. But yeah, so takeaway, Sam Darnold, serviceable journeyman quarterback, probably not someone you're relying on too much on a week in, week out basis to provide a bunch of fantasy production for the guys around him. So it's JJ, it's Aaron Jones, and maybe it's Addison, but like Addison takes a huge hit. Everybody after JJ and Aaron Jones take a huge hit. They just fall into the fucking grass, basically. That's a weird way to say it, but yeah. Let's see what other news there is.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got some fun news
Let's
that
hear
I
it.
heard today.
Let's
it's
hear
for
it.
the Swifties, if you will.
Oh shit! What's going on with Swift?
I was listening to the Dan Patrick show, and he was doing a rundown of the Chiefs' schedule.
Yeah.
Connected to
Jones
the Taylor Swift tour.
Year, right? Yeah. Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, and so she's having a full on November and December tour in Canada, and if you look, like one of her Toronto dates is the day before Kansas City comes to play Buffalo at Orchard Park.
Okay,
and then they have a game at Cleveland a week after her tour ends in Canada.
Nice.
And Dan Patrick was just talking about, he's like, do you think the NFL finally listened and is saying that, like, we need to have Taylor Swift at our game more often? That, like, she actually brings in the money, brings in the more viewers and everything like that. And it was just kind of funny that he alluded to it, like, she's on tour and the NFL was like, all right, send Kansas City up to Buffalo, make it easier for her.
That's funny. I don't know what that has to do with DeAndre Swift, though. Were you...
Not DeAndre Swift.
Oh, you were talking about Taylor Swift that entire time. For some reason, I was like, Buffalo.
No, Buffalo. Just the Swift.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift is actually in Chicago, so I was like trying to put it together. Okay, so that was a Taylor Swift point.
Yeah, the Swifties.
Honestly, Matt, I love you. You never miss an opportunity to drop Taylor Swift in a conversation about NFL football, and it's great and it's relevant actually because you're right. There is some analysis going on behind the scenes, or some like pencil pusher, number cruncher guy or gal who's like back there like, okay, so this is the Taylor Swift factor. Honestly, you don't even need someone to break all the numbers down. We all saw it with our own eyes. You know what I mean? Like Taylor Swift had a literal, visceral impact in a positive way on the NFL. There were people talking about the NFL that would have never even thought like twice about the NFL talking about it, right? Like we had, even my fiance is like, oh yeah, blah, blah. And I don't want to, she would talk about it just because I'm always talking about it as well. She's like kind of forced to talk about it sometimes.
But it made pop culture news.
Absolutely. It was something that other people could talk about that was like relevant to them as well. If you're a Taylor Swift fan, or even you just know who she is, then yeah, you're going to, kind of follow that storyline a little bit. And it was a big narrative,
And it was just,
she showed up at the Super Bowl. Chiefs won a Super Bowl.
they had to win for the Swifties.
But we talk about, is the breakup inevitable? Is there an album coming soon? I mean, she did drop a date of her new album. I think she actually just released a new album a couple months ago. I honestly can't even remember. But yeah, so
the Taylor Swift factor on the NFL is continuing into the year with the schedule. It looks like they saw she was touring Canada and we're like, we got to get you have a stint up there. We're getting her to a game at least.
Exactly. Okay, so it looks like a couple news stories out of Seattle. Zach Charbonnet dealing with tightness, undisclosed. He did not practice. And then Ty Lockett is managing a leg injury. So Coach Mike McDonald said Wednesday that Tyler Lockett is dealing with a leg injury, but that issue isn't too serious. So okay, just something to keep in mind. Obviously, both of these guys are pretty low on the ADP anyways, so you're probably not like super high on targeting these folks. But like Zach Charbonnet, serviceable backup running back, definitely a high grade, handcuff should anything happen to Kenneth Walker. And then Ty Lockett is just, one of those older journeyman receivers who's been super reliable. But we talked about this when we went over their depth chart. I see his role just going the way of like the, sort of Corey Davises of the world, or people just get phased out because there's someone who comes in. And despite how good Ty Lockett has been in the past, it's a new coaching staff, new quarterback. So all of that sort of chemistry and history that he's built over the course of his seasons on this team kind of can be reset now and be overlooked for just like a fresh slate. And so who's the most talented receiver other than DK Metcalf on that team? Well, in my opinion, it's Jackson Smith-Njigba. And so, the Ty Lockett era is over. Enter Jackson Smith-Njigba. So we'll see. Josh Dobbs, man, this guy, he has literally played for every single team in the NFL. He is now on the 49ers, and looks like he's competing with Brandon Allen for the number 2 backup role, and I foresee him actually winning out in that competition and being the backup quarterback because he's actually a solid backup. Josh Dobbs has shown that he can start for you in a pinch, even over a stretch of time, and be relatively serviceable. And on a good team like the 49ers, they would be happy to have a guy like him as their backup. He's no Trey Lance, Jordan Addison should be okay. No practice Thursday. So Coach Kevin O'Connell said Jordan Addison, ankle, who was carted off the field on Wednesday, isn't believed to have suffered a serious injury, but won't practice on Thursday. So let's actually look at this a little more, because this was literally 2 hours ago that this happened. Vikings are having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Not long after announcing the rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy will miss the season after undergoing knee surgery on Wednesday, the Vikings have another injury concern. Alec Lewis of The Athletic reports that receiver Jordan Addison was carted off the practice field with an apparent leg injury. Addison was injured after leaping for a contested pass. He tried to limp off the field but required a cart to get back to the training room. Justin Jefferson patted Addison on the helmet, and other teammates high-fived him to wish him well. So Addison obviously was a first-round pick in 2023. He made 70 catches last year for 911 yards and 10 touchdowns as a rookie. So he had a phenomenal rookie season. People were expecting him to take a big step up this year. Obviously, aside from maybe the legal stuff that was like hanging over his head, he was still looking at having a great season this year. And now this just maybe puts the start of his season in jeopardy. It's early, but what it appears is that, from what we heard from the other report was that it's not expected to be serious, but let's actually see. So there's some other news here. So Addison was arrested on California July 12th. This is the legal stuff we alluded to. ESPN's Dan Graziano has reported that the Vikings anticipate Addison will be suspended by the NFL once those legal proceedings are over. But as Addison is not set to offer a plea until October 7th, the Vikings expect to have him with the team to start the regular season this year. So, that's kind of what it's going to be, and Jordan Addison again, now he's probably just at the back end of let's actually see where he's going. Wide receiver 41. That's definitely a dip. I feel like from when we last saw him, I feel like he was up wide receiver 30-ish. He was definitely, I think, above Hollywood Brown. We're probably going to see Hollywood Brown take a hit too now. I think even Hollywood Brown was even higher than this.
Yeah. He was injured too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's actually going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. We did talk about that last time, and we'll look at an update if there is one. But essentially, Jordan Addison back here at wide receiver 41, essentially finished the season as wide receiver 23 last year. So I'm just staying off this team, man. I'm probably not going to draft any of these guys if they're not Justin Jefferson or Aaron Jones. Straight up, I just have to see it from Darnold first. And I don't have a whole ton of belief in him. So, yeah, that's a big deal. This is definitely a big deal. Sucks. Super sucks. But, let's see. What else? So that's the Addison news. We'll monitor that. Ankles are definitely no fun, especially if you're a receiver or a running back type, and all these quick cuts that they make, especially a guy like Addison who's a premier route runner. Well, guess what? Now that's going to be put in question until he gets fully healthy, right? Anthony Richardson. So GM Chris Ballard noted that Wednesday there's a good chance that Richardson does not play Saturday against the Cardinals. So this is
fine.
Which is fine. Still preseason. We're not really
don't get hurt against the Cardinals, right?
Exactly. In a game that means nothing.
Don't do that.
They would be kicking themselves if they let that happen. So yes, they will not take that risk. Oof.
Yeah.
This one's a big one.
The Matt Stafford one is big.
Stafford made an early exit, so this is today, from Wednesday's joint practice with the Cowboys due to a tight hamstring. Okay, so it sounds like it wasn't pulled, right? So that's actually a good sign. But
he's getting up there. He's not the young guy he once was. He's older now.
He's not.
It's just.
So let's see what Cameron Da Silva from the Rams Wire says. So Matthew Stafford has enjoyed an offseason of being fully healthy, his first such offseason in a few years. However, the Rams were given a bit of a scare on Wednesday when the veteran experienced some hamstring tightness. According to Gary Klein of the LA Times, Stafford sat out most of the second half of practice against the Cowboys due to hamstring tightness. The Rams were likely being very cautious with their star quarterback, but you never want to see a soft tissue injury suffered by a starter, especially someone as important and as old as Stafford. Stafford's status will bear monitoring, though he's not going to play in the next 2 preseason games regardless of his health. I think that was always the plan, really, was just to not play Stafford. Even if this hamstring tightness didn't just all of a sudden crop up, I think they were planning on just letting him rest for the preseason. And then, obviously playing to start the season. He's a veteran quarterback. Like, he can come back in and be fine. So if Stafford is forced to miss any practice time, Jimmy Garoppolo and Stetson Bennett would be elevated on the depth chart. Garoppolo is currently the backup, with Bennett as the third-string quarterback. And we actually saw Bennett make some pretty sweet plays. This one right here, specifically, the touchdown pass across his body in the red zone. So I even wouldn't be surprised if, like, God forbid something were to happen to Matthew Stafford and he misses extended time, that Bennett bunny hops or leapfrogs over Jimmy G in this depth chart, because Sean McVay, he knows talent, and he is not averse to starting the talented guy over the the lesser talented guy, just based off like age or like veteran like authority or whatever, you know what I mean? Like Jimmy G has paid his dues on other teams. He's been to a Super Bowl. He hasn't really shown us much in recent history. So obviously that's just like another, reason why I would believe Stetson would take that leap over him. But Jimmy G could have something to prove, or rather does have something to prove. Does he want to be a backup still? Who knows? Maybe he's fine with that. But he definitely doesn't want this guy Stetson Bennett coming in and showing him up, So we'll see how that pans out. But just keep an eye. Yeah. We'll keep an eye on Stafford, obviously, as we get closer to the season. This could affect.
Can't keep taking hits. Like, Puka's coming back from injury. Cooper was injured coming back last year, so like they're, you still got to watch for that potential. Like, they're just taking hits right now.
But what's crazy about that, because you're right, they're a team that, and I'm about to do something that I rarely ever do, which is praise the Steelers. But the Rams remind me a little bit how they're sort of run by Sean McVay, is that they can take these major personnel hits, and just like adjust and somehow find ways to win games. Similar to how Tomlin does with the Steelers. We see him constantly do this. Roethlisberger goes down, or like Mason Rudolph, or whoever is their quarterback, or like big guys will go down, and then all of a sudden, we write them off, and then they end up having a winning season at the end of the game or end of the season, despite all of these like sort of injuries piling up with them. And the Ravens have done stuff like that too. So interesting that they're both in my Bengals division. But yeah, that the Rams do that. So we could see Stafford maybe miss some time if this gets, if this lingers. But like, I don't foresee that being a total issue with like the team winning NFL games. Where I do see it being an issue is potentially in the production of the other players on the team, like the Cooper Kupps, like the Puka Nacuas. Tyler Higbee's still hurt, so we're probably not going to see a whole bunch of usage from the tight end room. It'll probably just be a revolving door. Kyren Williams, I think his volume is just going to stay the same. Now, I saw an article, or someone was speculating that Kyren Williams is someone who you probably want to avoid in drafts this year, just because of where he's going, the price you have to pay for him, and the potential sort of
the guy looming over his shoulder.
Yeah, Blake Corum, and just that it becomes more of a committee than what he had in this role last year. But honestly, that's highly speculative. And frankly, Sean McVay, yeah, he goes with the hot hand, but I have no problem believing that like Kyren Williams is just going to stay the hot hand. I mean, I saw so much on tape from him last year that shows me that he's capable of taking that bell cow role. That like I'm not worried about Blake Corum. Yeah, Blake Corum will get involved, but he's not going to like come here take the job from Kyren. Literally, the only way that Blake Corum takes the role, quote unquote, from Kyren is if Kyren goes down, which is possible, you know. But like, you know, so we'll see. But I think that's a little bit like pump the brakes on the Kyren Williams hate. Like, just pump it because he's fine where he's going. It's a risk no matter who you're taking in these first couple. No matter where you take anybody, it's always an inherent risk. It's the fucking nature of the game. So just take the guys that you believe in. And I personally believe in Kyren Williams. So
we don't even have to worry about this guy. Just like I'm not gonna worry about Puka.
I know.
Either.
I know.
It's kind of nice when you don't have to worry about certain players. Not even in my wheelhouse right now.
Not even. Okay, so Lamar Jackson not suiting up Saturday. Coach John Harbaugh said Wednesday that Jackson will not play in Saturday's preseason game against the Falcons. So that's just, I think, normal stuff from Baltimore town, you know, from BMO. That's pretty normal. Like, it's the similar thing with the Matthew Stafford thing. We're going to see this with a lot of these stud quarterbacks. It's probably like with Joe Burrow. We probably won't see him really play any more preseason games. We probably won't see, you know, Purdy play any more preseason games. We probably won't see, you know, like Josh Allen play any more preseason games. It depends though, because in Billstown we've seen, you know, Sean McDermott actually push his starters based off of stuff that he didn't like that he saw in training camp or in other preseason games. So like, you know, that one probably less likely, but like, I think we're going to see just all of these teams with their studly quarterbacks, just rest them till the beginning of the season. And that's totally fine. I don't think that's real big news unless there's like an injury attached to that. Right. But no report of an injury here with Lamar. So I think we're Gucci on that front. We talked about Jordan Addison. Jerry Jeudy is back participating in 7-on-7 drills. That's good. So just, you know, Jerry Jeudy, I think was coming off of a season-ending injury last year. Let's see. So his leg, otherwise he was on the sideline due to a lingering leg injury. So it looks like he's now healthy. Jeudy could thus be in line to make his Browns debut during Saturday's preseason game against the Vikings, though Cleveland elected to hold key starters, including Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, and David Njoku out from last week's exhibition against the Packers. So, yeah.
He probably needs a few reps, like,
exactly,
you know, get it in before. But that's good news for them. They need him.
Yeah, they do. They would like him on the field, obviously, because they traded for him, and I forget who they gave him.
Amari's just like, I'm tired, man. Like, I've been the only one. They only guard me. You will never
never hear Amari Cooper complain about that. He is a certified alpha stud, and he lives for that shit. You know what I mean?
But now he just has someone to like. Maybe they have to think twice about the other guy because this guy's, you know, Jerry Jeudy wasn't terrible in Bronco land.
He wasn't. You know, he was drafted highly.
Odd that they traded him after the season. Like the personnel change the Broncos made. Like
they're just cleaning house. It's an old guard.
Wilson,
they're just getting rid of the old guard. Yeah.
It was him that was the
Jerry
problem.
Jeudy was like a Russ guy, though. You know what I mean? Maybe Jerry was in Team Russ. I don't know.
Russ guy?
That's when I see stuff like this happen, either it was just like not a good fit for the team, they don't believe in him anymore, or they just wanted to like have a fresh start with someone else, or it was like a culture thing where, you know, Jerry Jeudy literally was like, you know, on the losing team, unfortunately. Like, he was on Team Russ. He was like choosing his side in the locker room, and it ended up not being the right side to stick around in that locker room. You know what I mean? So it could be either of those things. It could be any of those things. It could be a combination of those things. But that's kind of the impression I get on why Jerry left Denver. But yeah, so
well, good to see he's back up.
Yes. Alvin Kamara, this one's interesting because I didn't really hear much about this until today, but apparently he remains sidelined today. He's not practicing. So let's actually look up to see if there's any news we can find out about that, because that
hurt.
Yeah, that's rough. If he actually misses any significant time, well, that just throws a whole monkey wrench into my draft strategy, because I was targeting him where he was going. He was always making it onto my teams in mock drafts, and so
back tightness.
Yeah, it's back tightness. He's an older running back. He has a ton of mileage, so this is just not a good look when you see stuff like this cropping up. We saw Arian Foster just plagued with back spasms. That was like his number one issue of not being able to get on the field, was he had back issues, man. His fucking back, bro. Like, I don't know what his back was made out of. It was cardboard or something, because he was constantly missing time with back issues. So I know what back issues feels like. It's not fun. That's why you got to strengthen your core. That's why you got to, make sure that you are doing the necessary things to avoid and alleviate that strain on your back, or just, those small muscles in your lower back where, I don't know if that's his problem, but typically that's where you find back spasms crop up, is in those smaller muscles in the lower back. So, and again, I'm no doctor, but that's just what I've gone through. So Kamara back is not practicing on Wednesday. Kamara will miss a second consecutive day of practice due to back tightness. Coach Dennis Allen downplayed the severity of Kamara's situation Tuesday, so it doesn't appear the veteran running back is dealing with anything that will keep him from practicing for too long. If Kamara's back tightness keeps him off the field for Sunday's preseason game against the 49ers, though, it could pave the way for Jamal Williams to start, especially with Kendre Miller hamstring still a non-participant.
Yeah, I was just reading about that, because Kendre Miller got injured in their first training camp practice, and he's been dealing with a hamstring issue too.
Yeah.
So that literally leaves Jamal Williams and Jordan Mims as their healthy backs right now.
Which they'll sign a guy off their practice squad to gain depth, but it probably won't be anybody of significance. And whether they do that or how soon they do that will actually inform us on how severe they believe this injury to be. Right. They can say whatever they want. Yo, what's up, Rasha? Welcome in, brother. They can say whatever they want, really, to publicly, but it's their actions that are going to really dictate or show me what it is that they truly believe. And so if they don't sign another practice squad player and elevate them to the roster, in the next couple of weeks, then, and especially if we see Kamara back in practice, obviously that'll give us our answer. But even on top of that, if we see Kamara back in practice, maybe at a limited fashion, and they still sign someone on that from the practice squad, and they make it into sort of that 53-man roster going into the year, my warning signs are all, ablaze, because that just means that there's a high likelihood that maybe they don't believe Kamara will be healthy to finish the entire season or even play as much as they'd like him to play. Obviously, the Kendre Miller thing is a non-factor in my mind, when I'm thinking of like Kamara's availability or how much role he's going to have in this offense. If he's healthy, he's going to be a baller. Like Jamal Williams, I'm not worried about him. Yeah, Jamal will actually be the biggest beneficiary of the, sort of Kamara missing time. Because again, I'm not worried about Kendre Miller. And we've seen Jamal Williams. He's just a stud, when he in like a plug and play scenario. So
it's just behind him right now is what's worrying. Jamal Williams is a great guy to have behind you, basically.
Right. And Rasha mentions that tier of running back is very interesting. Kamara, Aaron Jones, Montgomery, Zamir White, and even Connor. Yeah, so let's actually look at that tier of running backs here. So we got running backs and Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, James Conner, David Montgomery. And what's interesting about this tier is that these are all guys who can finish top 10, top 12 running backs, on the season. They all have that potential. They're down here because we have higher expectations of all these guys that are above them. But there's no reason why any of these dudes down here, the Kamaras, the Kenneth Walkers, the Aaron Jones, the James Connors, can't finish in like a top 15, top 12 capacity, right? Now, they're still being drafted in a different tier because they're obviously looked at as like, oh, maybe they're on a worse team. Maybe they're just not as talented. Maybe they don't have as many opportunities. Maybe there's potentially going to be a timeshare. That is the case with David Montgomery. Let's actually, speaking of David Montgomery, there's some news that came out from Detroit today. And yeah, I don't know if we saw it on the news earlier, but we didn't talk about it. And all of a sudden, this is why you don't draft early, folks. We see a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs crop up on the injury report with a hamstring injury. Let's hear what they have to say. Actually, is this gonna be
expected to be fine? That's good. Oh, that's Dan Campbell. He's on 15 shots of espresso.
That's Dan Gamble. We know what he's all about. You know what I mean? He lives life on the edge. So
he's hopeful as fuck. Of course he's going to say that.
He's projecting positivity eternally. He is an eternal optimist. And so he's hoping that Jahmyr Gibbs is fine. But let's hear what the report is. So from Allen Park, Michigan, Detroit Lions coach Dan Campbell says that Jahmyr Gibbs will be fine going forward after the Pro Bowl running back left Monday's practice with a hamstring injury. I think we're going to be fine here, Campbell told 97.1 The Ticket on Wednesday morning. So I think we'll be good. Campbell said his phone was ringing off the hook following Monday's session, with people sharing their concerns after news broke of Gibbs being evaluated for a leg injury. Lions rookie cornerback Terron Arnold was also evaluated, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Detroit was set for an intense team scrimmage. Okay, Gibbs, 22, is a dynamic piece of the Lions offense. As a rookie in 2023, the former Alabama star rushed for 945 yards and 10 touchdowns to go along with 316 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. Great passing work there. Campbell also said that, I think it's a good chance, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Dan Campbell is projecting patience and calm, and he is showing that he's not worried that this injury to Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a sort of issue that extends into the season, right? So his ADP is not affected completely by it. Obviously, if we hear more news about him missing extended time in practice, and then all of a sudden now it's like he can't even get on the field and he's hobbled or whatever, like he's doing work on the side with like trainers and shit, like none of that is good. So if we hear stuff like that, then obviously like we'll be a little more concerned. But as of now, I think we're being reassured from the Lions, specifically Dan Campbell, that like it's going to be okay. Jahmyr Gibbs is young. He's going to bounce right back. This is just sort of like this, these things happen, right? Off season is long. And so sometimes a lot of these guys just don't show up in quite the shape they would like to, or rather they just, push themselves a little too far. And unfortunately that means that, like, injuries can happen. So again, a couple weeks we'll know. We only have a couple weeks till the season starts, which is crazy, or like 3 weeks now, right? Mm-hmm. So I would say in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, unless we see some significant positive signs coming out of Detroit, and that's a long time for but it'll go by like this. I'm keeping Jahmyr Gibbs exactly where he is. Again, I'm not drafting any of my leagues until literally a week before the season starts, because that's what you should do. But if I were to draft today, I'd probably look at Jahmyr Gibbs and I'd be like, if he falls to me, I'll grab him. But his ADP is pretty much right where he should go, right? RB6, ADP 12 overall. Mm-hmm. So, Jonathan Taylor, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, Kyren Williams, all these guys are right around Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm fine with passing on Jahmyr Gibbs for any of those guys right now. Like, if I'm drafting today, I'd probably get Puka. I'd probably pick up Kyren. Nothing against Jahmyr. It's just neither of these guys. Well, Puka's dealing with an injury, but like Kyren is healthy and fine. And so, and I trust that this team is just going to get this guy worked in. And I'm not worried about Blake Corum as much as maybe some other people are. So yeah,
that's fair.
So let's see. Rashid Shaheed sheds non-contact jersey, so he's back. That's great. Sam Darnold positioned as starter. We talked about this. Justin Watson could help fill in for Marquise Brown. So obviously with the Marquise Brown issue or, injury, which we saw he might miss 4 to 6 weeks with that clavicle bone shoulder situation that I think luckily did not require surgery. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they did need surgery, but it was just like less intensive than they thought. Regardless, he's going to miss some time. It sounds like Justin Watson is going to be the guy that steps up for them in this, in this absence. And I think you just literally put him on the back of your bench if you need like a plug play starter, because we've seen Justin Watson in this offense have random pop off games. I remember he was like a DFS darling for a stretch of time, where he was just like super cheap and great return on his value. So like, do I foresee that being the case with like season long fantasy? Not really, but keep an eye just on Justin Watson in general. Maybe again, he could be a plug and play for like, if you had some unfortunate luck in the first couple weeks of the year. You just snag Justin Watson and plug him in your flex or something like that. He could go off potentially one week or another, but it's inconsistent, and that's probably why you're not even going to see him drafted, despite him getting this quote-unquote nod of could fill in for Brown, right? We talked about J.J. McCarthy. Dak Prescott is practicing in full on Wednesday, so there was like, I think Monday we talked about this.
Is A.T. Perry on there anywhere?
Get more news. Whoa, I have to sign up for this shit? All right, bye, Roto World. A.T. Perry. It's probably on this one. Why? What happened to A.T. Perry? I mean, I could just look it up real quick.
Ankle injury.
A.T. Perry, ankle injury?
Ankle injury, which it was just, Shaheed's coming back. They need him healthy. And then St. Brown was also injured. So, Bub Means might get a chance.
Bub Means. So wait, where did you see there? I don't see anything about an A.T. Perry ankle
on ESPN.
Oh, on ESPN.
I was reading. Yeah,
you were reading on ESPN.
Just go to their depth chart and click on the team.
Fair. Let's see. New Orleans Saints depth chart. ATP is Q. Perry made an early departure from Tuesday's practice, so this was yesterday, due to an ankle injury. So, all right. Well, it sounds like, at least ESPN's reporting on this. Again, I don't see... Oh, here. Fantasy Pros talked about it. With an ankle sprain. Alvin Kamara had back tightness. A.T. Perry went with an ankle sprain. So there's not a lot of... Okay, so Perry caught 4 passes in the preseason opener. Yeah, we saw that. It's unclear how long he'll be sidelined. Man, this is kind of the name of the game in these early sort of weeks in the preseason. It's just like...
Who makes it out of the Lions' den?
Well, that, but also there's going to be times where we just have no information, And that's just because teams want to keep a lot of stuff maybe under the wraps. They want to sort of downplay things.
They're not ready to put a timeline on it yet. Like if they need to do surgery or they're still getting
right. There's still an evaluation period. Like a lot of things could be happening, and so there's no real rush for them to get like these statuses out. But like, keep an eye on it for sure. A.T. Perry is a stud for sure. We saw his preseason plays. He looked phenomenal. This is kind of what we've seen him flash on, and and again, right? in the past, in his very young career still. So
on Monday on our stream, we were watching highlights of him, and you were getting real hyped on him.
Oh, dude, I loved what I saw from him for sure. I mean, he's a big body guy, and it could end up being the number 2 target in that offense if he took a step forward this year, like in a big way. And obviously Shaheed sort of being out of the offense for any period of time was going to kind of open the door for that. That's unfortunate. So we'll have to monitor this and see how long he's out. It's unclear still. Obviously, the report is it's unclear how long he's going to be sidelined. So, but good call bringing that up, because that's a rough one for sure.
He was looking flashy the other day. That's why I thought of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he looked great. Jordan Love, another quarterback that's not going to be playing in this preseason game. That's fine. That's literally just like what we're expecting. Alvin Kamara, we talked about him. Deontay Johnson, day-to-day with a groin strain. So this is... Let's actually look to see if he's on the groin index. Deontay Johnson. Yep, he's on the groin index. So they already... but he's expected to return August 17th.
The groin index.
Y'all haven't heard about the groin index. It's hilarious.
No, what is
It's like it's a semi-serious, half-joking sort of... There are real reports of groin issues, but it's always, my groin. That's basically the joke. It's the running joke here. They have fun over at Fantasy Footballers. But, yeah, so he's there. He's expected to return August 17th. Royce Freeman and Paris Campbell also cropped up on the groin index, so that's, interesting to point out. All of them are expected to return August 17th. Or actually, no, sorry. Paris Campbell's expected to return tomorrow. So, LOL. Yeah, exactly. Yo, what's up, Retro Recess? Good to see you, man.
Yo, Ty.
Yeah, what's up?
Did you hear? So...
Uh-oh. Is this a bad one?
A day ago, Jamar Chase missed practice Tuesday. Zach Taylor offered no details on what sidelined him.
It's a contract thing. Ricky Meeks in the house.
It remains to be seen whether it's a personal matter, ongoing contract dispute, or if he sustained something in a private workout.
In a private workout?
Private, yeah, that was workout.
Private workout, yeah.
But yeah, it's probably contract, right?
I hope that it is contract. Yes, that is Matt. Good call. Hey, dude, Ricky Meeks was able to recognize Matt's voice. Hell yeah, brother.
Retro Recess, baby. But are we in? Is that the stage we're in now, where he's now having to remove himself from practice to make it feel serious to the Bengals?
I mean, potentially. So this is the problem with just the way. Yeah, love you too, bro. Thank you so much for joining in and chatting and watching the show, bro. Appreciate it. Every view counts. Every view counts, dude. Even though if I'm like a 3, 4, 5 view Andy, dude, I don't care, man. Every single view counts. I love it. Always appreciate people jumping in and supporting this stream. So, and we're like 3 follows away from being affiliate. So that's actually pretty nuts. So, if you know anybody else out there who would be willing to throw me a follow on Twitch, hit them up. Share the stream, please. Dude, every time I've been busy, bro, it's all good, man. I appreciate it regardless. Like, I get it. It's, this is not the easiest time for everyone to watch. It's just the best time for me in the way my schedule's set up right now to where I can stream for a couple hours a day. And, it's usually around 2 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Pacific time. So, if you're able to watch live, awesome. Appreciate you. If not, maybe you check out the VODs after or whatever. All good. I'm definitely going to need some help with my fantasy football this year. Dude, that's why we're here. This is becoming my lunch break. Hell yeah.
What we do.
That's what's up, dude. That's what's up. It's nice little midday break to just cut your day in half. Give your mind a little mental break. But Rick, Retro Recess, we got you, bro. Any questions you want to ask? Any sort of intel you need? Some insight, whatever? Just let us know. We'll help you as much as we possibly can. That's why we do this. Def keeps sending the videos to me and reminding me like you've been doing all day, buddy. We'll do it. That's kind of me shamelessly blasting myself out there, but you got to do it, especially at these early stages. You got to advocate for yourself a little bit. So, and Matt's been joining me, bro. He's been awesome. Like these streams don't happen without Matt, really. So it's
keeping them going.
Yeah,
keeping them going, baby.
It's cool. Hell yeah, brother.
I appreciate you.
So,
but yeah, the Chase thing, real quick,
dude.
Chase wasn't at practice now, where he has to step out and be like, guys, what are we doing here? And we were talking about it with CD on Monday. It's just, I just hate the bait and like the carrot dangle and the making the fans sweat. Just like, get it done. Everyone wants Jamar Chase. Like, why are we?
Okay, so
every time.
So if it's a contract issue, that's, I think, a little obviously less of a concern than if it's like some shadow injury that they're not disclosing for one reason or another. So let's see what the report from yesterday says. Or no, this is 10 hours ago. So yeah, basically like yesterday. Bengals wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase wasn't at practice on Tuesday. That may not surprise some, especially those that know he hasn't participated in practice since July 24th when training camp opened. But it is a major change. So yeah, he hasn't participated since July 24th, but he's at least been at practice. So what they're saying now is that he's not even showing up at practice right now, right? He's not even there. That's the big deal, right? So what does that say? Head coach Zach Taylor shared a brief and vague comment after the practice. Day to day, we'll take it one day at a time, Taylor said. It doesn't feel like a contract extension is imminent. That doesn't mean things won't change in a hurry, but Chase wasn't finishing up the details on his new deal during Tuesday's practice. Okay, so so they're basically tongue in cheek. He didn't miss practice because he was in the negotiating room finishing up the deal. There was some other reason. It doesn't feel like so what's next? Well, we're currently witnessing a starting contest between Chase and the Bengals. Oh, a staring contest. He clearly wants a new contract now that the wide receiver market has been set. The Bengals are open to the idea of getting something done with Chase, but they are comfortable waiting until next offseason to do so. Who blinks first? With Jesse Bates, T. Higgins, and even Trey Hendrickson, and my boy Jermaine Burton, it was pretty clear that the player wasn't going to give in, show up, and play on their current contract. Sorry. They're talking about other player contract issues. Is Chase in the same boat? He has 2 years left on his contract, the final year of his rookie deal, and a fifth-year option that the Bengals exercised earlier this offseason worth $21.8 million. So that's what it was. They exercised the fifth-year option, gave him the $21.8 million for the 2025 season, but it looks like Chase wants to restructure or get an extension worth upwards of $30 to $33 million, which is about where that market says he should be valued, right? Justin Jefferson just signed a 4-year, $140 million contract extension with the Vikings this offseason that includes $88.7 million in fully guaranteed money, which is crazy. That's unheard of for a receiver. A.J. Brown signed a 3-year extension worth $96 million with the Eagles. Chase is probably looking for a 3-year extension worth around $100+ million with roughly 65% of it fully guaranteed, which is, again, well above what we would normally see in terms of guaranteed money for this type of position, receiver. The Bengals are probably hoping to wait until next year or sign Chase to a full 4-year extension. That would put him under contract for the next 6 seasons, which would not only align with Joe Burrow's current deal, but it would allow them to spread the money out over another season. So that's the play the Bengals should make if they're hoping to reach an agreement with Chase this offseason. He loves it in Cincinnati and obviously wants to keep playing with Burrow. Could they use that in negotiations? Not to get a team-friendly discount, but to get Chase to sign a 4-year extension 1 year sooner than maybe Jefferson did in Minnesota. That would be a huge benefit to the team, and they could spread money out over the next 6 seasons. Of course, guaranteed money is probably a big factor in negotiations. So that's just cash, essentially. The Bengals, and not cap issues, it's cash issues, I would imagine. The Bengals aren't known for giving out guaranteed money after the first year of a contract. Burrow was the lone exception. So I don't care about the precedent. All I care about is where the NFL is moving. And if we're seeing contracts like the Justin Jeffersons, like the A.J. Browns, I don't know how much guaranteed money was in A.J. Brown's contract, but if we're seeing now these big-time wide receivers getting guaranteed money in their contract, well, then the Bengals can't argue that that's not what they do when that's what the NFL is doing as a whole, right? They can't just decide that they're not going to participate in those types of deals. They could, but they're going to end up alienating a lot of guys on that team and probably just pushing out a stud that they could have used, and that I swear if they don't do right by Ja'Marr Chase, I might just quit being a fan, dude. I might just quit being a Bengals fan. There have been moments where I was on the edge, and this would just send me over the top. So they better pay this guy. They better pay him. So this guy finishes up, or this person finishes up. Personally, I'd look at potential guaranteed money for Chase a lot like the Burrow exception. Exactly. You got to make an exception. Everyone in the locker room knows those two are the top dogs. Burrow is the most important person in the organization, but Chase is right behind him, and there's no doubt about that. The start of the regular season is 25 days away. Will a deal get done before the opener? Is Chase willing to sit out? I think the Bengals make this happen. I don't think they even want it to get to where, maybe there's a chance Ja'Marr Chase might hold out. I don't even think they want it to even get to that point. No questions. They're going to hopefully get this deal done.
They have no interest in getting Ja'Marr Chase, like, just because you leave a bad taste in it. The first chance he can jump ship, he's jumping ship.
Totally. And honestly, the fact that he and Joe Burrow like played college together and like are really tight, like, yeah, that might, factor in, but I mean, Joey B will probably be like, dude, go get your bag, man. Like, I can't believe what these guys, with what this team's doing to you right now. Like, I don't want this. I fucking hate it for you. Go get paid, So yeah, that's interesting. Deontay Johnson, we talked about him. He's dealing with a mild groin strain. It's considered day-to-day. Soft tissue injuries are the chance to linger. The 27-year-old wide receiver is a wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 upside in the second half of fantasy drafts. So it remains to be seen if he'll be return to practice ahead of Saturday's preseason game. So I don't think we care. Have you talked about the Ayuk trade stuff? Let's talk about that. Thank you for bringing that up, because that actually is like the next major headline we need to discuss. So Deontay Johnson, he'll be fine unless we hear otherwise, but I don't think that's really pushing you off of him in drafts just yet. Because even though I'm a Steelers fan, I'm not paying any attention. Totally. And I don't blame you, because honestly, Ayuk is more of like, you're paying attention if you're an Ayuk person or just like a 49ers fan. That's like one of the main reasons why you'd pay attention. But now that it's actually looking like the Steelers sort of deal is picking up some heat, now there's reason to maybe, if you're a Steelers fan, paying a little more attention to this Ayuk situation. So as of 9 hours ago, should 49ers pay Ayuk, or should they trade him? In the 2024 NFL season, if the 2024 NFL season will be remembered for anything, it will be the tempest of wide receiver contract negotiations. The season is mere weeks away, and we're nowhere near done. Okay, so how good is Ayuk? Yeah, we know how good he is. This is just qualifying basically how good Ayuk is. I don't think we need to really get into that. I think what we want to do is talk about. Come on, just give me the juice with the Steelers. So 8 hours ago, this is the report. 49ers want to keep Brandon Ayuk, but Steelers have a trade in place. So let's see what the deals to this trade are, or what the details of this trade are. So they're still trying to work out a long-term contract, but have also agreed to parameters of a trade that would send the star wide receiver to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The defending NFC champion 49ers don't want to trade Ayuk. But negotiations have at times been contentious, and the second team All-Pro continues to hold in training camp. His hold in training camp. So it's like he's there at training camp, but he's not really doing anything. Talks between the Niners and Steelers have quieted in recent days, but a source told ESPN's Jeremy Fowler that an Ayuk trade is one phone call away. The 49ers confirmed last week that Ayuk had received permission to negotiate trades with other teams, but also have emphasized that there is a scenario where a deal gets done to keep the 4-year veteran in San Francisco. So it's just like, are they going to pay him? Like, there's a likelihood that still can happen. The situation could lead to several outcomes, though, including Ayuk staying with the 49ers and playing out the 5th-year option on his rookie deal that would pay him roughly $14 million. Sources told ESPN last week that other teams are willing to pay Ayuk more than twice as much as his 5th-year option, but that he has balked so far at multiple offers. The Browns and Patriots were also interested in acquiring Ayuk, but sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter that the Patriots dropped out of trade talks last week. Ayuk is only 26, and he had 75 catches last year for 1,342 yards and 7 touchdowns for the 49ers. So I want to find what details in this Steelers trade, if they have reported any. So 49ers aren't real happy with the Steelers trade offer, predicts Brandon Ayuk stays put. So this is as of 5 hours ago. So there is no shortage of NFL insiders willing to throw out what they are hearing about the situation between the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Reports have varied from claims that a deal with the Steelers is close to suggestions that the 49ers and Ayuk aren't far apart from the contract extension. So there are conflicting reports. People are saying that, the 49ers are gonna pay him, actually. They're getting close to a deal. People are also saying that, the Steelers made an offer that the 49ers are highly considering that Ayuk is apparently potentially happy with. They maybe are ironing out some of those details. However, one well-connected NFL insider, Benjamin Albright, believes Ayuk will remain with the 49ers in 2024, possibly with a new deal. What leads him to this conclusion? It's my opinion that the Niners never wanted to trade Brandon Ayuk and that Brandon Ayuk never wanted to go anywhere else. Yes, I think that's reasonable to believe. If they were willing to pay him, then he probably would be willing to stay. I think it just is a matter of, the money amount. He suggests that the offseason drama has just been a part of the negotiation process, with both sides trying to leverage their positions. This song and dance of I have to hold out. I don't want to pay you. The team doesn't want to pay you. This, that. I fucking can't stand it, man. It's so dramatic and it's so unnecessary. And the NFLPA needs to, we literally, I know we belabored this point on Monday, but there has to be a renegotiation where the NFLPA just to produce drama, right? It feels that way sometimes, where it's just okay, what storylines are there, in the NFL in the offseason? There's not a lot to talk about. So it's really just can we generate narratives? Can we generate storylines? And I don't think it's purely for the sake of that, but there may be a little theatrics involved in that respect, right? Obviously, I don't think it's coming from the Brandon Ayuk side of things. I don't even think it's coming from really the 49ers side of things. I think it's just the way the system is structured, and we've just gotten so used to it now that get a little tension and commotion. Exactly. And yeah, maybe death a little bit from the 49ers, more so than Ayuk, at least with the theatrics. But Ayuk just wants to get paid. He definitely wants to stick around in the 49ers, in San Francisco. 49ers don't want to lose Ayuk. He does more than just catch the ball for them. We've talked about all the things that he does for them as a team, right? Off the ball, blocking in the run game, all that stuff. So they don't want to lose a guy like that. So it's just fucking get the deal done, man. I don't care what you have to do. Get creative, bro. Get him a TV deal where he gets 3 commercials, every season or something with the 49. I don't know what you have to do. Just fucking do it. Walt Grizzly, yo, what's up, brother? Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate the follow, man. Hell yeah. Hey, welcome in. We're talking about the Ayuk saga. So Albright says that he ultimately thinks that Ayuk is going to take the Niners offer, but we'll see. I know that the Steelers have been interested in Ayuk since dating back to March. This whole Ayuk thing is annoying as fuck, dude. Straight up, I feel you. Are you a 49ers fan? Because if you are, it's probably even more annoying. If you're just a fantasy football fan, it's definitely annoying. But I can't imagine if you're a 49ers fan or a Steelers fan even. Okay, yeah, you are a 49ers. So yeah, you get it. It's super rough. It happens every year with top tier talent on one team or another. But when it happens to your team, it sucks. It's fun to point and laugh when it's happening to another team, like the Cowboys, for instance, and CeeDee Lamb. It's if I was a Cowboys fan, I'd be pulling my freaking hair out, but I'm not. So it's kind of funny, but I feel bad for CeeDee and anybody else who's a Niners or a Dallas Cowboys fan. If the Steelers get him, I might shit my pants. Well, I'd say there's probably a 15% chance the Steelers get him. It's possible, but it's not likely.
They didn't like what the Steelers offered. That's why.
They clearly didn't like. Well, there have been conflicting reports about that, but it sounds like it's still in Ayuk's court to make that decision. San Francisco has drama every year. It's been QB drama the past 5 years. Totally, dude. You talk about the Jimmy Garoppolo drama. You talk about, the Trey Lance drama. And then now, there's no drama, thankfully, with the quarterback. Finally. But now there's drama with the other positions. So yeah, because obviously Brock Purdy is the guy, and there's no doubt about that now. So we know that the Steelers have been interested in Ayuk since dating back to March when they were trying to get him to pair with George Pickens. That would be a nasty combo. Yeah, the Steelers really don't have anything to give up except for picks and linemen. That's true. Now, San Francisco probably would be willing, and that's probably why the 49ers and the Steelers got the closest with a deal done, because 49ers are definitely willing to take picks. I know that's obviously good commodity for anybody, but they also could use some lineman depth. And so, yeah, exactly. Ayuk does want to stay in San Francisco. So I think that's why this is like, finally we're realizing like, okay, the end of this tunnel might just be Ayuk takes the deal that the 49ers have currently. Yeah, maybe it's less money than what he's hoping for on a yearly basis, but at least he gets to compete for a ring, and, you know, he gets to stay where he wants to stay. Sure, it's a little more expensive in terms of cost of living compared to a place like Pittsburgh. You know, if San Francisco is one of the most expensive cities to live in, the Bay Area is just fucking not cheap. So, you know, obviously he's looking at the dollars and cents, and he's like, how can I offset maybe some of these immediate costs with a contract that I believe I'm worth, and would at least make it a little more reasonable for me to stay in a place like San Francisco, where the cost of living's high, taxes are high. You know, he's going to be paying his agent. He's going to be paying, you know, like 40% of that income going straight to taxes, right? San Francisco is trying to win a Super Bowl. Picks and a backups don't do anything, and he's worth more than that. Very true. He also bought a house in San Francisco last year. There you go. We got the inside scoop right here. Thank you, Walt Grizzly, for the inside scoop. Yeah, so if he's clearly showing that he's committing to a long-term residency in a place like San Francisco, well, guess what? He clearly wants to be there. So, again, it just comes down to the money. If they end up giving him the money that he wants, great. But this person right here who's writing this article is convinced that despite the current negotiations sort of stalling out, he thinks by the, you know, come regular season, Ayuk's going to sign this deal with San Francisco, and that he's going to be playing come week 1. So we'll see. And we've heard that from Jerry Jones and you know, the Cowboys in relation to CeeDee Lamb. So that's a natural segue. I think let's talk about CeeDee Lamb. Let's go check CeeDee out real quick, see if there's any news regarding CeeDee Lamb, because, oh boy, is that just a freaking about as much of a circus as it can get at this point. And we talked about it on Monday, and we heard some sound on which they freaking copyrighted me, dude. They muted that audio in the VOD because I guess Jerry Jones's voice is just like, you can't use it. It's literally copyright infringement to hear Jerry Jones speak, but whatever. From what I've heard, they're at the right number right now. They just want to give him 3 years, and I think he wants 4. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so if they have actually matched his annual average value that he's looking for, which is I think about 30 mil, 31, 32, maybe not. I think it was right about 30. It's just a matter of the length of the contract. That's a much bigger difference than him trying to get extended or even more dollars on an annual basis. Okay, so it's at 28 mil. So he wants, I think the last thing I saw was that he wanted 30. He'd be willing to settle for 28, it sounds like, if he got 4 years as opposed to 3. But they're hard fast on the 3-year 28 mil. Is that what you're saying? And that would make sense then. Why they're kind of like stalling out a little bit, if that's the case. So cool. You know, hope he gets his money. Hope he gets paid. Hope he signs his deal. But let's look at CeeDee Lamb. That's what it seems like. Okay, that makes sense. 4 hours ago, Cowboys Stephen Jones says CeeDee Lamb needs to be targeted 12 to 15 times per game. Okay, this has nothing to do with the contract, but that was 4 hours ago. So it's so funny that like the organization and ownership are just literally talking about CeeDee Lamb as if he's signed already. Like he's playing, you know, like there's no issue here. Oh yeah, we got to target him 12 to 15 times. We don't want to pay him, but we know we need to we target him 12 to 15 times a game. That's such a weird such weird messaging. But let's see if there's any reports on his actual contract. So okay, so Cowboy stars Micah Parsons sends a message to CeeDee Lamb amid a holdout. So Micah Parsons is confident that CeeDee Lamb will be right there when the Cowboys take the field in week 1. Lamb is embroiled in a heated contract standoff with the Cowboys. Obviously still holding out. Parsons has been in contact with Lamb amid the negotiations and is confident that something will get done soon. Obviously, we miss him. He's one of the best people you can have in a locker room. I'm pretty sure he'll be here soon. So if Micah Parsons is projecting that, like, based off of the conversation he's had, conversations, plural, that he's had with CD, sort of in the last few weeks, the last few days or whatever, that the inclination that he's getting is that they're going to get a deal done. CD's going to be there soon. But what we're hearing publicly from the team is that there's no real urgency or no real urge or need to get this deal done with CD. Like, those two things obviously conflict a little bit. And maybe that just means that a little bit of, again, what Walt Grizzly was talking about earlier and Retro Recess was talking about earlier, the theatrics of it all. Walt Grizzly says, Jerry is a clown. Hard to say what's going on there. He's a clown. He's the ringleader of the circus. He literally is like the, premier joker that in the NFL, right? And honestly, like, why the NFL puts up with his theatrics, well, I guess it's good for headlines. I guess it's good for eyeballs. Their team just was evaluated at a new record-breaking high for any sports franchise. I think it was either this week or like a month ago. But the Dallas Cowboys are worth like about $10 billion now. So Retro Risha says, oh my God, they censored J.E. Try is a clown. No way. That's so funny. Dallas has two good players, CD being one of them. I don't know what they are waiting for. Bro, exactly. You're literally saying what everybody else is saying here, which is like, why the hell are they waiting so long to pay this guy? He's literally the fucking, like, the stud of the team. That's like, oh shit. Okay, you sent me a text? Let's read it. Uh-oh. What does the text say? Wow. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, so they blocked Jerry Jones is a clown on Twitch in the chat. So they literally blocked Jerry Jones is a clown in the Twitch chat. That's hilarious. Why would they do that? Why would they? I know my automatic moderating automated moderator doesn't block stuff like that. So like that must be a Twitch thing. It also might be your default chat settings. I think there's like a profanity filter, and if you don't disable that, then you probably won't be able to see like people's sort of like mature chat takes. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know if like there's a straight up, embargo on Jerry Jones hate in Twitch chat land, but like that would be ridiculous if that was the case. Check your settings, Retro Recess. Check your settings, because that might be what's going on there. But straight up, like, just pay this guy. Just fucking pay him. We said this on Monday. If we have to keep talking about this, bro, like, I'm just gonna get over this story. It was funny at first. It's kind of sad now, and it's a little frustrating. Obviously, I'm not even a Cowboys fan, and I'm frustrated for the Cowboys fans out there. So, like, just pay this fucking guy. I was actually hoping to be in position to potentially pick this guy up, in like the 3rd or 4th pick overall. Now it's like, I don't even want to do that, dude. This team doesn't deserve my support. I don't even want to be rooting for this team at this point in any capacity. It's just sad. Unless they like come out and pay him like $35 million, and it's like, damn, we just made CD like the second highest paid or like the highest paid receiver over the next 4 or 5 years or whatever. It's like, okay, we just needed to wait to get that particular like deal done at that particular time. But like, honestly, there's no reason for them to wait. Like, Dallas has two good players, CD being one of them. What are they waiting for? Straight up, Waltsy said it. Do you think Reddick is going to be traded? Let's look. News about Hassan Reddick. Jeff Ulbrich insists he doesn't speak to his players about the continued holdout of imported former Pro Bowl. Okay, so this is the New York Post reporting. Jets defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbricht's message as Haason Reddick continues holdout. So for every single defensive end on this team, one less rep for the guy that could have been here is one more rep for all of these players. So this is like typical coach speak, right? It's like you're shaming the player for holding out and wanting to get their contract, but you're also kind of like justifying why you're just moving on as normal and why that's kind of like maybe good for your team, because then you can get these other guys like reps. You know what I mean? It's just the typical coach speak that you hear, and it's about as neutral as you can get, but it's still team forward. They're obviously not looking out for the best interests of the players in these scenarios. They're more often than not looking out for the best interests of the team and the coaching staff. So that's why I think Jeff Ulbrich has to say stuff like this. But, you know, honestly, I think he deserves to get paid. So let's see what he says on a Zoom call. So it's collectively from a Will McDonald standpoint. From a Michael Clemens standpoint, and every single one of the guys behind them, it's a great opportunity. It really is, and they're taking advantage of it. So like I was saying, like coach speak, he has to kind of like say like, yeah, don't worry, everything's great. It's great that he's missing all this time. We got guys getting reps because of it. It's like, no, it's still bad that the 29-year-old two-time Pro Bowler acquired from the Eagles in April formally requested a trade on Monday. That's not a good look. So his holdout, which is costing him $50K for every day he's not in camp, right, reached day 23 on Wednesday. What's 23 times 50? 50,000. Is that 50,000? You're telling me he's missed out on $1.1 million already? Fuck. 23 days, $1.1 million down the drain, dude. I hope this holdout's worth it, man. So Reddick, whose cap hit is for 2024 is $14.25 million, has totaled 50.5 of his 58 career sacks over the past 4 seasons, including 11 in 17 games for the Eagles last year. So the dude is crushing it in sacks. He's like a sack monster. He's actually like one of the leading sackers in the last 3 to 4 years, right? GM Joe Douglas publicly shot down Reddick's trade request, but the Jets are left now with a gaping hole to fill on the right side of their defensive line, opposite left defensive end Jermaine Johnson, after the departures of Bryce Huff via free agency and John Franklin Myers in an offseason trade. So they're literally like, I think Haason Reddick is also seeing that like this is a key leverage moment for him because they are depleted at all these positions, right? And so like they need him to come in and stick around. They actually just need him to stick around. It's kind of on the Jets, right? Why would you trade for him if you don't have a contract done with a player? I completely agree. And that's probably why we're seeing him demand a trade, is because, yeah, they traded for him. And then what, you're literally just going to keep him for that 1 year and then decide to just let him languish, or like not look at re-upping his contract or extending him or renegotiating or whatever the case may be here, because I don't think he's a free agent. Obviously, as it stands, he's looking for an extension, so he's still technically under contract for the 2024 year season. But let's see what they say. I think guys understand the business part of this, and it's real, and we acknowledge and recognize it, but at the same time, we've got work to do, Ulbrich said. For the guys that are here, we're going to work and try to be the defense that we want to become and are capable of becoming. Okay. Well, I don't see that without Haason Reddick. I don't see you doing that, having a top tier defense like we've known the Jets to have in these last few years without Haason Reddick, right? What? Breaking. The Patriots are close to finalizing a trade that will send 4-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Matthew Judon to the Falcons, per multiple sources. Let's check that out. So to wrap it up here with Haason Reddick, he demanded a trade or requested a trade. He's sitting out. He obviously is held at 23 straight days. That's $1.1 million worth of fines, and it's only going up every day by $50K. So like he's committed. He's already committed to this holdout, and it's really on the Jets to either pay him what he's worth, or they're going to have a really messy issue on their hands with a holdout that extends into the season. Similar to what we saw too. I kept saying Justin Houston. It was actually Chris Johnson who was talking, or not Chris Johnson. Who's the guy on the damn, I keep messing his name up, on the Chiefs? Matt, you there? I know I've been talking a bunch. We might have lost Matt, but it's Chris Jones, that's what I'm talking about. He held out last season, and they ended up paying him, but it got really close. And I think he might have missed a game, or at least he said he was fine with missing a game, but the Chiefs didn't let it get to that point, or past that point, rather. And so the Jets need to do the same thing with Haason Reddick because, yeah. So anyways, moving on to this report about the Matthew Judon thing, because that actually is pretty significant news. Let's see here. NFL Insider weighs in on how Patriots Matthew Judon standstill will likely end. Okay, so Jones is better than Reddick. Chris Jones is better than Reddick. You're right. And so I think he was asking for maybe more money. I'm not sure exactly what they settled on, but it was obviously satisfactory because he came back, signed the deal, and then, you know, we know the rest is history. They ended up going on to win a Super Bowl that year. And defense matters. Defense actually truly is important. I know it's kind of less of an emphasis. The news is all over Twitter. Damn. Okay. Let me, I guess I got to look at Twitter. I am so a boomer that I don't even use Twitter, brother. That's how crazy. I honestly might have to actually type in X. Do I have to just go to twitter.com and type in Matthew Judon? It's not. Oh my God. I might have just doxed myself. It's not even. I can't even look it up, dude. I can't even look it up without having to sign in. That's weird, brother. You used to be able to look at tweets publicly without having an account. My bad, man. My bad. Hopefully, there's some. Okay, 2 minutes ago. Oh, here we go. 2 minutes ago. Thank you, Bleacher Report, for making me not have to go to X. aka formerly known as Twitter. So NFL rumors, Matthew Judon trade close between Falcons and Patriots amid contract buzz. So the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons on the verge of finalizing a deal involving star Matthew Judon, according to NFL insider Jordan Schultz. Judon, 31, skipped organized team activities ahead of the 2023 season, so this is last year, and had been a hold-in during the early days of training camp before the Patriots reworked his deal, increasing his guaranteed money from $2 million to $14 million. X is great for sports news. You're right. I should probably just get it for that exact purpose. It is absolutely a good place for just like top of the line, you know, like, what am I trying to say? Like breaking news, basically, like before any other place is reporting on stuff, X usually has the reports come out. So I think you just argued a good enough reason for me to make an X account. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that now. Not now, but I'll have one before next stream on Friday. Pats are getting a third round pick in return. Oh yeah, so let's look at the compensation here. So he only appeared in 4 games last season due to injuries. However, though he did have 4 sacks in those games, bringing his career mark up to 66.5 sacks in 114 games. I only follow football stuff, dude. That's what it's gonna be for me too. I'm literally just gonna get the account, make the account, and just follow all the football shit. That's what my Instagram looks like. That's what my Facebook looks like. That's what all my feeds look like. Reddit. Literally, that's all my shit is. It's just like football stuff. So yeah, why not X? Entering his final year of his deal, Judon was again seeking new money this offseason, though he originally indicated he would play on his contract. I got to, honestly, he told reporters, again, like, I signed a deal, my signature's on it, so I gotta play on it. Would I like to? No. Do I think that's my value? No. But again, that's not up to me. You're right. He signed the fucking thing. Facebook, LOL. I know. Who still uses Facebook? Actually, it's dying. I honestly barely use Facebook anymore. It's really just Instagram at this point. I got to, honestly, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So it's not up to him. So he did sign that contract, but now he's like trying to get more money. But it looks like this trade. So not long after those remarks, however, Judon appeared to be in a training camp hold-in for the second straight year. Okay. Given his age and injury issues last year, it was unclear if the Patriots would offer him any sort of extension or new money. This time around, they weren't playing ball, sitting and packing, and now Judon and the Falcons will be left to discuss a potential new deal. So, thank you, Walt Grizzly, for letting us know that the Pats are getting a third round pick in return. So that's not like super expensive. It sounds like the Pats just wanted to be free of this deal and this sort of holdout scenario with Judon, and they were like, he's talented and we're kind of in a rebuild mode anyways. We don't really need him. We're not at all chips in kind of moment, where our Super Bowl window's closing. They're on the uptick, hopefully, as a franchise, and maybe they're looking in the future and they're like, we'll take a 3rd round pick for him. We're fine. We'll just get his 14 mil off the cap, and maybe they'd make another trade before the start of the season. Who knows? But it's about what he's worth. He's got injury issues and he's getting older. Exactly. 31 years old for any position is just, you're basically at the edge of the cliff. And so how many years does he have left at a really high productive rate, level, playing as well as we've seen him in the past? And again, yeah, you're right. He does have injury issues. Like, he didn't play all of last year because he missed, I think, 10 plus games with an injury that we saw. So, yeah, I think this trade makes sense for both teams. We'll see. He's already committing to playing under this deal. He's obviously out of New England, so that's great for him. I think that was kind of one of the bigger issues, was like, yeah, he wants the deal, but he also just wanted to get the hell out of town. And so now he's in Atlanta, which is a vastly different landscape and setting than the cold New England is. And you have a different fan base. Maybe he has, family in the region, or, he's closer to people that he knows. I don't know where he grew up. But it seemed like he was willing to get the hell out of town. And as far as what happens with the deal with the Falcons, because they still have to potentially rework this deal for him. I mean, that's why he was holding out or holding in the first place. So, we'll see how that pans out. But man, I'm going to find out what the new, who do you follow on X, by the way? Why don't you let me know, the best places to follow? Is it literally just, the Adam Schefters of the world and, those typical outlets? Or are there any, cool, sneaky, dope reporters that you follow that I should follow as well? Atlanta looks like a solid team this year, and the Pats will probably be the worst team in football. Absolutely, dude. Pats are doing this. They're on the downtick. Falcons are doing this. They're on the uptick. So I completely agree. Atlanta does look like a solid team this year. And not to mention, people were giving them a little shit for picking up Michael Penix Jr. after having signed Kirk Cousins. And they were like, what the hell? Are you not wanting to shore up your, very porous defense? Are you not wanting to get more weapons? Even though this offense is super loaded with weapons already? What's the deal? Why are you picking up a highly drafted backup quarterback, essentially, behind a guy that you just signed for a bunch of money? So I follow some mainstream guys for the trade news, and then the rest is 49er stuff. Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'll find some good stuff. I'll find some good folks to follow. But that's good to know. But yeah, so anyways, this issue with, who the fuck was I just talking about? Matt, you there? Did I lose you? Matt hasn't spoken in a while, actually. I don't know if he's okay. Matt, are you okay? Matt, damn it. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. They drafted Michael Penix Jr. and it was like, what are you guys doing? Do you want to help this team out in other ways? You just drafted a guy in the first round who's basically just going to sit on the bench all year unless something happens to Kirk Cousins, and that's not a smart choice. But it looks like now that they're at least making some trades before the season starts to address what it was that people thought they should have addressed in the draft, which was their defense, right? So yeah, I think it was a good move for both teams. Patriots are bottom of the barrel this year. They're in rebuild mode. They don't even know who's going to be their starting quarterback. Falcons, they're going to try to make a play to win the NFC South this year. That's what they want to do. No one can figure out that Penix pick. It was just they're looking for the future. It was very similar to when the Packers picked up Jordan Love. But Jordan Love, I think, was a second round pick. Michael Penix Jr. is a first round pick. So that's obviously a little different. But they had just signed Aaron Rodgers. I think that was literally off of a MVP season, and he was holding out, and then they restructured his contract, or they gave him an extension or something like that. And then they drafted Jordan Love like that very next season or something like that. So it's like, what the hell is going on? So similar to that, but could be potentially looked at as worse in one way or another, because we obviously see how that's panning out for the Packers. It's actually looking like they made the right call there. So who knows? The jury's still out on whether or not the Falcons did the right thing, but I could see an argument in either way. Like, it was detrimental to the short-term goals of the team, but still is sort of, I guess, helpful for the long-term goals of the team. Like, but in the NFL, you have to take your shots where you can get them, and you can't do both. There's very few instances where you're trying to win now as well as build for the future. That's not something you can do in the NFL. There's rarely any sport that you can do something like that. Maybe basketball, you can make an argument. But even then, you still have to like commit to guys that are able to get you that win in that short-term period. So they had just signed Cousins to a 4-year contract, then draft Penix. So if Kirk plays out his contract, Penix won't touch the field until he's 28, which makes no sense. Yeah, so they could even see, depending on how well Kirk Cousins plays, like I could see them just getting rid of Kirk Cousins if he doesn't pan out how long, as like how they were hoping he would pan out, right? Barring any injury. Like, this is despite any injuries happening. Like, if Kirk plays the whole season this year, no injuries, plays all the games, maybe he's just a little underwhelming. He doesn't look as good as he did prior to this Achilles, right? Because he's coming back off an Achilles, and I think he's like 33, 34 years old now. So he's like not a young guy anymore. So yeah, no, that's a really good point. If Kirk plays through this entire contract and Penix comes in after that, Penix is 28 years old and sat for 4 years essentially. So it was just weird. And I don't think Kirk is gonna stay those 4 years in Atlanta. And if he does, he probably ends up being like a really expensive backup or some shit to Penix. If Penix ends up taking over him. They gave him $90 million guaranteed. If they drop him, that would be cap hell. Well, they would have to trade him. You know what I mean? There's no way they could just like cut him and deal with that, because you're right. That literally would just be like the single worst move that we've probably seen made in NFL like front office in a while, right? So hopefully that's not the case, and I'm hoping on behalf of all the Atlanta Falcons fans out there, because that would no team deserves that. I won't say no teams. Maybe the Steelers and the Patriots deserve that, but no other team deserves that. I kid. I'm a Steelers hater, obviously. I gotta be a Steelers hater. I'm a Bengals fan, so yeah. He is going to be 36 in 5 days. Wow, he's gonna be 36, dude. That's crazy. I actually didn't even know he was 36. I thought he was like younger than me. That's nuts, dude. That's nuts. Okay, wow. Okay, so Kirk Cousins is gonna be 36. That's crazy. Well, happy early birthday, Kirk. So yeah, to wrap up the rumors or the trade situation with Judon, Falcons will probably restructure the deal, make it a little more friendly for Judon, maybe give him some, increased guaranteed money, potentially incentivize him to play, in that way. But I don't think it's going to be like a huge cap issue for them. And, good question. Do I think Cincinnati moves T. Higgins at the deadline? No, I don't. I think T is committed. And I think unless some crazy offer that they can't refuse comes across the table, just there's no way that they get rid of T. Higgins. You know what I mean? Like they have no incentive to do so, right? Like obviously, they signed him for the franchise tag. He signed the franchise tag. He's in camp right now. He's playing, right? He played in preseason, so he's there. He is committed to at least this full season with the Cincinnati Bengals. I know there was talks of in the preseason or in the offseason, and he seems unhappy, right? I think he's swallowing that pride a little bit. I think because he sees that this is probably one of his best opportunities if he wants to go far into the playoffs and potentially even win a Super Bowl ring in the near future. Like, this is his best opportunity. Unless he gets traded to a team like the Chiefs or to a team like maybe the Bills or like, even like an NFC team like the 49ers, which again, like a lot of weird, crazy shit would have to happen for one of these scenarios to pan out. If he's going to leave this year though, why not trade him and get something for him? That's a good take. I think the reason why they're deciding to take this risk, I guess, is because he's just that talented, right? Like, you're getting him at a discount despite them paying this franchise tag. Like, they know they're paying less than what he's worth. They know that, right? So they're willing to take this gamble on, like, okay, we'll see. Maybe he leaves next year if we can't end up paying him what he wants over, next year. Dude, not only is he a very good number 2, you put him on most other, maybe not most, but a large number of other NFL teams, he's their number 1. I can make that argument that, like, you put him on Buffalo, he's their number 1 immediately. You put him on Denver, he's their number 1 immediately. You put him on the Raiders, he's their number 1 immediately, right? So, like, you know that you have a number 1 receiver as a number 2. You're getting him at a discount. You're all in to the, making a Super Bowl run this year. I think they're just willing to take that risk of, if he leaves, he leaves. Yeah, if an offer they can't possibly refuse comes across that trade table this season before the deadline, and they decide, a majority of teams, I absolutely could make that argument that he would be a number 1 on a majority of teams too. Absolutely. Like, maybe there are like 10 teams that he would be the number 2 technically on, because there are probably 10 other number 1 wide receivers that are better than him. Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, but like, there are 20 other teams that are likely, again, in need of a number 1 receiver, and they would be willing to pay a lot just to get a guy like him, right? But let me actually go to T. Higgins, because this is Judon, just so people aren't confused about who we're talking about here. So I guess my point being is that the Bengals are willing to say, hey, we have a Super Bowl window that's this open. T. Higgins is a large reason why that Super Bowl window is as open as it is, right? If T goes away, they lose a substantial piece from their offense, right? Jamar Chase can get it done, but he can't do everything by himself. We saw games where T missed last year. I think it was only 2, but it's like they were hurting for him, to come back. So they know what they have with him. He's obviously just such a stud. He deserves to get paid. I think they know that they might not be able to pay him next year, and they're willing to be like, you know what? We drafted a guy in Jermaine Burton who is going to be on his rookie deal for another few years. He looked great in preseason. He's our future, as at the number 2, right? He's not as good as T. Higgins, but they're willing to develop another guy behind him. And that's what we saw with Tyler Boyd when he left. They were like, nah, Tyler Boyd, yeah, we don't necessarily need to pay you. You did great for us. And obviously Tyler Boyd's not T. Higgins, but they let Tyler Boyd walk. They aren't necessarily like, they're still cutthroat enough to be like, all right, go take your money somewhere else. We'll figure out a way, like, even if we don't get anything from you other than just a really good season before you leave, we'll take it. It makes more sense to trade him this year because he will cost even more next year. I mean, you're bringing up good points. Like, I can't argue against that. You're absolutely correct. It does make sense to trade him this year. So my hope, and this is just me probably being a homer and, hopefully, cautiously optimistic or just eternally optimistic about my Bengals and what I'd like to see. But for the business side of things, it does make sense for them to try and extract value from him, before the trade deadline this year. He plays for you still, for I think 8-10 games. I don't know exactly when the trade deadline is. It's like in November or something like that. Or maybe like first week of December. So they're playing at least like the majority of games before that trade deadline hits. So not only are they getting, a discount on T. Higgins as a talent for this year as he plays for them, but if they end up trading him before the trade deadline, then they get even more return on that investment by keeping him around the franchise tag. So even if you pay him as a number 2 wide receiver, that's still money similar to Waddle or Devontae Smith. Yep, and we saw those guys are making like 26, 27 mil or something around that a year, and maybe he's asking for more. I don't know the specifics of what he was asking for, but yeah, man, I hope, I pray that like somehow they figure out a way to keep both him and Chase on the team at least for another 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, we have to have our Super Bowl window open for that duration of time. And I know Joe Burrow is like tongue in cheek was like, oh, well, the window's open for as long as I'm here. But it's like, no, you still need guys to catch balls. You know what I mean? Like we've seen Patrick Mahomes, I guess, do it. Maybe Tom Brady once do it with like a bunch of no names. But like chances are you still need at least one stud guy and some supporting cast around them. And, you know, that's Ja'Marr Chase. That's T. Higgins. So that's gonna be tough. Someone that good is going to be close to 30 mil next year, totally. Especially the way we see the market going. Absolutely. So it kind of makes sense for the Bengals to have paid him whatever he was asking this year, and just extend him or whatever. You know what I mean? Get him locked in for that 25, 26, 27 mil amount or whatever it was going to be, and then you know you pay Ja'Marr Chase like 32, 33, and then you just cut back on maybe other positions. Like you got rid of Joe Mixon. You have now young rookie running backs on their rookie deals, or young running backs on their rookie deals. Yeah, the cap is going to be really tight. It's going to be super top heavy if we were to pay all three guys. Joe Burrow is taking a huge, like Higgins. Yeah, Gale Girl. What's up, Gale Girl? Like Higgins. I love Higgins, dude. He's my guy. So, but yeah, you're right. You don't know what the cap is going to look like. Honestly, what does their salary cap look like?
That's wild.
Oh, hey, what's up, Matt? Welcome back. So let's look at what their cap table looks like this year. So their total cap space is 20 mil.
Ooh.
They have $6 million, $6.5 million dead cap, probably from some guys they cut. And it looks like T signed this year for 21.8 mil. So that was their franchise tag that they gave him. And then you obviously have Trey Hendrickson. You have Orlando Brown Jr., who's our left tackle. You have Sheldon Rankins, who's our defensive tackle. So there's a lot of money actually on the defensive side of the ball, with Hendrickson, with Rankins, with BJ Hill, Sam Hubbard. So like our whole defensive line costs about like 50 plus mil. That's significant. And Ja'Marr Chase is still on his rookie deal, significant discount. Wow. So yeah, if we were to pay both Ja'Marr Chase what he's asking for, which is again like around 30 plus mil. Mm-hmm. If Chase has a good year, he might expect JJ kind of money. Exactly. So minimum 30 mil. Minimum 30 mil for Ja'Marr Chase. I think that's, again, you want to get ahead of it. You don't want to be sitting around this time next year and seeing guys like Amon-Ra or maybe some other big name guys they're sort of on the upcoming uptick, like the CD who's trying to get a deal this year. But if you see guys that are not as good as Ja'Marr Chase, exactly, I'd say he resets the market to 35 plus. You took the words right out of my mouth. Next year, you could see that number being 35 plus. This year, you can't make that argument. So do the Bengals want to pay him 35 plus next year? Are they willing to be like, you know what, this year he'll just play on his, sub $10 million contract. We're willing to, bite the bullet next year on his salary. It's a little higher, but at least we're not paying him that much this year. You can make that argument. Honestly, I'm not a GM. I'm not in there, making all these moves. But what we're seeing with their cap is that, man, T. Higgins has already taken 21, almost 22 mil. But he's worth more. We know he's worth more, right? He's worth at least like 28, probably 27, 28. He's literally a high end. He's the highest end wide receiver 2, borderline wide receiver 1. You go on 20 other teams in the NFL, he's their wide receiver 1, right? So
yeah.
Oh man, that's
the problem. Yeah,
that's gonna be tough. But Matt, welcome back, man. We went for 2 hours today, so that's where we're probably gonna have to call it. We covered a lot of news.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's good. We didn't get to look at any. We didn't do any mock drafts, unfortunately. I wanted to maybe do 1 or 2.
Friday mock draft day.
Friday will be mock draft day. So yeah. So tomorrow again, no stream. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I've got other stuff I got to handle. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific time. That's where we're at. And this Friday, we're going to jump in with a little bit of news and then dive into some mock drafts because we're getting close to our draft, man. It's coming up September 2nd. I can't wait.
Oh, dude, I'm so stoked.
I can't wait. And I'll probably live stream the draft too. That actually will be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, that'll be great.
That'll be sick. So,
how long are our pick rounds? 30
seconds each? 60 seconds. Come on, we're
60?
not animals. 30 seconds, that's crazy. You at least got to give people 60 seconds.
Well, I remember when we used to do like a minute and a half or like 2 minutes.
We did 2 minutes.
14 or 16.
And that was the last time we ever did that. Yeah, it was a 16-team league with 2 minutes. Yeah.
Oh,
30 is plenty.
God.
Man, you must be like a savant. Because honestly, even when I prepare, and I'm like a person who over-prepares, I feel like, for drafts, I still feel like 60 seconds kind of gets a little down to the wire sometimes. Because say I'm in like the 7th, 8th round, I know the guys I want, but like if somebody gets sniped right before me, well, I need to have a pivot ready to go. And sometimes I'm not always ready with that pivot. And so I need that 60 seconds almost in its entirety to scramble around for another guy. But honestly, like 30 seconds, if you're in like a savvy league, and like what kind of league are we doing? Half point PPR, 12 teams, 1 keeper, and NFL.com. We have some funky rule settings as well, so it kind of might adjust the rankings a little bit for people. We have like kick return yards for defenses. We have like bonus points for 300-yard passing games. We have bonus points for 100-yard receiving and rushing games. My keeper this year, thank you for asking, is Puka Nacua in the 10th round.
Ooh.
So I'm pretty stoked about it. I was able to get him off the waiver wire last year, so that's why he's at such a low round keeper. But pretty solid. Pretty stoked about that keeper. We got some crazy keepers. There's a guy who's keeping Kyron Williams in the 10th round this year. That's pretty nuts.
Yep.
But there's some other reasonable ones. There's like
I'm keeping Jaden Reed in the 10th round.
Jaden Reed is a reasonable one. Better hope Stafford stays healthy. Exactly, man. I mean, he's dealing with tight hamstring, as we talked about earlier today. But I think they're just resting him and making sure that he's healthy to start the season. So I think he'll be fine. He knows his body. He like a tight hamstring. That's like very minimal on my concern list. If it was like a shoulder or an elbow or a wrist or something with his throwing arm, like then I'd be freaking out. You know what I mean? Jimmy G cheated last year and still stunk, and he's the backup. Jimmy G cheated last year and still stunk, and he is the backup. Yes. He's not. And like, I don't know if you were watching when we talked about this news, but when we were talking about the Stafford news, one of the things was, does Jimmy G even make the second string? Does he even make the backup? Dude, I'm not a Jimmy G fan either. I know you're a San Fran guy, so I can only imagine how you guys feel about Jimmy G. But like, I've never really been a Jimmy G fan. Whatever. But it's not like he did anything to me personally for me to feel that way. I just like, it's just he's got like he seems kind of like a douche. Like he seems like he could be a douche. He's got like a very punchable face. And that's neither here nor there. But I think my point being was that Stetson, the backup, the third string guy rather, he looks great in preseason so far. He actually, Jimmy G cost you guys a Super Bowl. That's right. Really sad to hear that.
Yeah.
But Stetson could end up being the. Let me actually just show him. I'll just show him. This is who I think is Stetson Bennett. I think he's going to end up being. So Jimmy G is suspended. What the hell? It's not expected to play. What's going on with his suspension? How long is he suspended for? Not appear, blah, blah, blah. While serving a suspension, he'll miss the first 2 regular season games. Okay, so first 2 games.
What the fuck is he suspended for?
Stetson threw 4 picks. I don't know if that's good. Wow, okay. Growing pains. You know what I mean? Growing pains. He threw 4 picks. You're right. But he had 1 really nice looking touchdown. And that's what I'll pay attention to. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe he overtakes Jimmy G Jimmy G is suspended for the first 2 games, so maybe just by proxy of that, like Stetson has to fill that role for the first 2 games of the season, and then they kind of throw him back onto the practice squad when Jimmy G comes back, because like he obviously is more proven than Stetson Bennett. But I could see by the end of the year, no matter what happens here on this team, and who goes down or who gets hurt or who doesn't get hurt or whatever, Stetson Bennett ends up finishing the season as the backup, and Jimmy G just kind of like phases out of the league. Jimmy G will be the backup for 2 games until he flops. Straight up. Exactly. And then they'll realize very quickly that like Jimmy G, like, why did we even bring him in here? You know what I mean? I think he's taking the veteran minimum. Suspended for PEDs though is wild. You're so right. Only 2 games though, which is crazy.
Is he still getting paid from the Raiders from that contract?
Probably. The Raiders contract was nuts, and I think they just cut him. So yeah, that's just dead cap money that they're paying Jimmy G, and then the Rams basically just like, yeah, Las Vegas is still paying him exactly. So yeah, Jesus. And this guy's tiny too. Jesus, I didn't even realize how small he was. 5'11", 190 pounds. That's fucking small, man, for a quarterback. So we'll see, but just pray Stafford stays healthy. Anyways,
yes.
Yeah, this has been real fun. Thank you all for tuning in, watching us talk about the news today. There's been some crazy headlines, so I'm glad we got to cover those. Like I said, next stream will be on Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, so join in. Again, if you're one of the folks who watches these VODs after, I see y'all. I see the views, so I know y'all are watching. If you're one of the folks who watch the VODs afterwards and you haven't followed yet, please, if you can find it in your heart to throw me a follow, I would be very appreciative. I think I only need 2 more till I can become affiliate and start getting.
You're at 50 right now.
Am I at 50? Oh shit, we got them already.
I'm looking. It says 50.
Damn. Okay, maybe I miscalculated. So maybe we're already at 50. But regardless, please send a follow, please, if you can. And that's about as much begging as I'll do. Thank y'all for for watching as well as always. And this has been Game Time Ty with your boy Matty Boots. And yeah, see you, Walt. Hope to see you in the next one. And thanks everybody again for paying attention and watching and listening and chatting. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.